before watching the VMO squat, quickly, board, no board, take a look. The board simply allows you to get the fullest bend possible, but if you see without the board, you can actually do the same exercise without the board. You see that? So I can still get that cheeks to sneaks. That's what we're going for. We're going literally to get the glute to the heel. And the reason is because the VMO, this muscle, studies now show it gets emphasized hardest at that fullest bend. So it also gets emphasized really hard in the top. So it gets emphasized hardest in the top and then the very bottom. So that allows you to get the most bottom position. And that is why we don't have only the split squat. And if you look at the undercut, the split squat is the undercut. If we look back at my heels here, okay, if this is VMO squat, split squat, we can achieve that same position. So in order of seniority, split squat is more important because if you have an imbalance between legs, that's gonna slow down your progress on the VMO squat. But the VMO squat, compared to the split squat you have the support of the back leg. Now VMO squat you don't, so it is actually a little bit more pressure on the knees. And when you explode up, unlike a split squat where you get to just push back and then it gets easier, the VMO squat gets really hard right about there, especially once we add load behind the glutes. So we have to have a VMO squat to fully finish the system, but because it's the most intense on the full bend, that is why it's your last direct quad exercise of the week. And remember, before we go on, just that this split squat itself is regressed by the Patrick step up, and even the Patrick step up is regressed by reverse out knee pain. So literally, if all you can do is this, if that's all you can do, you can start knee ability. So anyone who can walk can start knee ability and follow it standardly. So let's breeze through the rest of this before watching, and then we'll get into it. I went over the undercut from VMO squat. If you don't want to do that, you can do split squat. If you don't want to do that, you can do Patrick step. If you don't want to do that, just getting reverse out knee pain is a good session. Lowest entrance point is using assistance to do the VMO squat for 4 sets of 10 with 60-second breaks, followed by 1 set of 50 or a goal of 50. And when you can do that with your own body weight, then you probably should be adding weight to get to the standard. You need to work to where you can do 10 reps with 25% of your weight here, and then build back up with 25% of the weight behind the glutes, which I'm going to show you. This is the only one of the 8 knee essentials that doesn't have a world-class number. And the reason for that is because all of this prepares you for world-class squatting, but depending on your sport determines if you should be squatting or not. In my sport, basketball, I don't do any double-legged barbell squatting. I don't do any. I can achieve the best basketball body possible without that, but for some sports, because the squat is so good at putting on mass, you may want to do it, or maybe your team makes you do it, and that's more likely is that you're in a sport where you have to squat. Well, all of this puts the foundation so that you can get even more out of squat. So that's why there's no exact world-class number, whereas the other ones do have world-class numbers. So let's dive in now and see what this looks like. Lowest entrance points, full bend using assistance. Over time, this can create strength changes, so then you can put your hands out. This makes it a little easier. Hold your breath. You don't want to bounce out of the bottom. You want to be strong at the bottom. Then go down. But you can use assistance if you need, and you want to get 4 sets of 10 with 60-second breaks, followed by 1 set of 50. I'm using a Mr. Infinity slant board, but as I showed you, you can do the same thing without the slant board. And what you're doing here, you're getting that full bend, and that full bend, according to doctors, not me, according to doctors, contrary to popular opinion, if you safely progress that without pain, you can actually build resilience and cause positive changes for your knees rather than tear them down. So you see the difference between just using a ton of weight and just trying to crush your knees versus building them up. Now, from there, you want to progress. You can hold a weight at your chest. You can hold a dumbbell here. When you're holding a dumbbell, you want to keep it below your chin. Notice my elbows. The way you know if you can actually handle the weight is if your elbows stay above your thighs. Because if you're here, you're not actually handling the weight. So if your elbows hit your thighs, go outside your thighs, go inside your thighs, or if you have to put your elbows out, or if you have to put the dumbbell in front, it's just too much weight and you need to keep using assistance. So even when you're doing this test, if you have no equipment, 50 reps like this becomes quite a workout. I would say just as hard as 10 reps with 25% of your weight. And now the reason we put that weight behind the glutes, we're in a moving process right now, so we don't have all our dumbbells. But you can imagine if I'm holding a dumbbell and I put it behind my glutes, what happens when I come up is if I try to put my knees back, I'm not gonna make it up. I have to push forward, you see that? So that's the weighted version is not even so much up and down. Watch the knees push down instead of pushing back. If you go out of the bottom and your knees come back, where does the weight go? Your hips, not your legs. But push forward, now that becomes a major VMO workout. So a simple, and you could hold a bar right there as well, but simply getting to where you can do 25% of your weight here, then start rebuilding back up. So you could start, like a first step would probably be just to have your hands behind your back, and then start pushing weight there. 25% of your weight for 10 there. That is the standard that we're trying to get to on this exercise. So you can see this is such an intense exercise, so I'll just say it one more time. You don't have to force yourself into it. You have the split squat to regress. You can use assistance, but for longest term protection, you will need to get down the VMO squat.